I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband. I am going to be going over a lot, so this will be multiple parts. I just want to pre-warn you guys and beware that this will be a long one.
All right, y'all, so I'm about to tell y'all what happened to us when we moved to Georgia and why we about to be back to Mississippi on two wheels. Y'all, this is the most horrific experience that we've ever experienced in our life, and I honestly don't want to think about this when I get home. So I'm going to go ahead and make my video and talk about it now.
She discovered that her boss was having an affair with her husband in the most random way. And she didn't react how most people would think that she would have. She got real quiet, and got real strategic and made sure that she was 10 steps ahead. By the time
who this is, but if this is my older brother, bruh, this can't be the same older brother that teamed up with my mom and went against me.
This lady called CPS on her own best friend. Wouldn't trust me. The story only gets crazier from there. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here with another story time, and this one is wild. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe. It really does help out a lot. Thanks so much. Let's get into it.
Alright, y'all, so I'm about to tell y'all what happened to us when we moved to Georgia and why we about to be back to Mississippi on two wheels. Y'all, this is the most horrific experience that we've ever experienced in our life, and I honestly don't want to think about this when I get home. So I'm going to go ahead and make my video and talk about it now, because I'm not talking about this no more. I'm praying to God I forget it, because y'all, the hatred in my heart right now, I'm leaving here with all this hatred in my heart. I don't want it. So my children don't see their dad often because he works state to state. He's a foreman for this company or whatever. And he ended up in Tennessee, and it was a job that he said might take a year or two to complete. So he came to me about us coming to Tennessee. He was like, you might like it. And if you like it, you can stay. You can do your career here, because I did step aside from my career to homeschool our children for a couple years. And so, you know, he was like, this might be a fresh start. We don't know. Let's just see. So I'm like, okay, I ain't against taking chances, even though I don't take a lot of them. So I was like, okay, let's see. So he went looking for places where he was working in Tennessee, and everybody that was getting their mind to run around or whatever. So he was like, you know, won't nobody work with me here. Won't nobody give me that. So I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I was like, you know, we ain't in no rush. We ain't even got to come to Tennessee. You might end up in another state. Well, you going to end up in another state in a year or two. So we ain't got to go. But he insisted, right? So he ended up going online looking at these neighboring towns and counties or whatever, and he ran up on Rossville, Georgia, y'all. And I am so embarrassed to sit here and say that. I'm ashamed as hell, baby, because why, y'all? I don't know what lesson God trying to teach us or something. Why he had to run up on them folks, I don't know. It's probably a lesson that he need to learn. Like, you need to start listening to folks. But anyway, so when he ran up on this place, he found this community called Village Green. Mind you, y'all, he thinking this is an apartment complex, because he told me at this point I just need to get something to get y'all here to start with, not somewhere that we just gonna stay. And so he think these apartments, but when he called them, he realized, my hand's so itchy, he realized this was a mobile home park. Now y'all, I ain't big on no mobile home park. I ain't got nothing against mobile homes. I'm from Mississippi. Like, it's mobile homes everywhere. I got family who been on them. So I ain't, you know, I ain't got nothing against them. But when I kind of looked up Rossville and saw the demographics and things like that, I was like, this ain't no place you want to move in no mobile home park. Like, y'all know what I mean by that. I'm like, I'm sorry, that just, y'all already know what I mean by that. I'm like, I don't think this is gonna be the right place for us to be coming and trying to stay. But like I said, he insisted on doing this. So he started corresponding with this leasing agent named Amy, y'all. Yeah, her name Amy. And there was two properties that he was interested in, but it's like they kept giving him the runaround about these two properties. So I started to feel like, I said, it seemed like they don't want you to get down. It seemed like maybe them properties too nice and they don't want to give them to you, because it was just like always this something always coming in the way where they won't give him them two properties he was interested in. So when he done made his decision to look somewhere else, all of a sudden, y'all, out of nowhere, they come with this third property. And I'm talking about, they ain't acting funny about this one. This one's in the forefront. This is something they want him to have so bad. So that was a red flag for me, because I was like, they were just acting funny with you about them two now. What's this property about? So this property is smaller. It's not as big as the other two, which would have been better for my family unit, but you know, they wanted to get him this property. And he kept saying, well, it's just something to start with, so let's just see. So Amy, all of a sudden, y'all, she was just overly nice. And it was that type of nice that I questioned. I kept telling him, I said, that lady too nice. I said, I ain't nobody that nice. And he was like, she just really want to help me. Because, y'all, this property, like I said, it done came out of nowhere. And it's like almost like that they were trying to push it in his lap. And so she just being too nice. And so I told him, I said, look, I'm the nicest person in the world. Ain't nobody that nice. I just felt like it was an act. And so she gonna tell him one time, she said, I ain't never seen nobody so desperate. And this is how she talked. So desperate to get his family somewhere. And I really want to help you. And so he told me that like I supposed to feel comfortable or something. So I said, so that lady call you desperate? And he was like, you know, she just really want to help. And I said, why she call you desperate? Or I said, why she didn't use the word determined? I said, you don't find it odd she called you desperate? And you know, he not looking at it how I'm looking at it, y'all. But he gonna wish he had her. Because once this stuff hit the fan and I start doing my research, I start to learn that these folks prey on desperate families. So anyway, she done called the man desperate. He still feeling like she a good person. He still feel like this is something legit finna happen. So I'm like, okay, all right. So anyway, so after this, fast forward, y'all, she come to him and claim his income wasn't enough for the property. So I'm looking at him like, how your income ain't enough for this? Like I'm going to. So I'm looking at it and I'm looking at him and I'm like, man, something not right. I said, just tell them folk never mind. This is what I'm telling him. Just tell them never mind. I said, cause something is not right. So anyway, after that, she told him that he needed somebody on the lease with an income, not just him. And so I'm still like, why? You know, it's not making sense. So of course, I ain't got no income. Cause like I told y'all before, I done stepped down from my career to homeschool my children. And so he looking at me and I like, you want me to ask my mom, don't it? He like, can you just ask her? I'm like, man, my mom gonna say no. I'm knowing my mom ain't finna go for this. And honestly, I'm like, if she say no, I don't care. Cause I'm telling you to look somewhere else. I'm telling you something is off about these folks. So I go to my mama. I run it by my mama. She flat out said no. My mama said, I don't want no financial responsibility for no property I'm not even residing in. She like, hell no, I don't want to do that. And so he go back and tell them after I told him what my mama said, and he was like, you know, we gonna move on. We finna go, y'all. We bye. See y'all later. So these folk grabbed their mind, not literally, but just like it's like they kept pulling at this mind. So they pulling at him. They was like, no. We just need her name on there to get the application through. And because the application won't go through with just your income. So after 1 to 2 months, we can just drop her name off. She won't have any financial responsibility. Girl. Y'all, he came and told me this. So I'm like, do you trust these folk? He insisting that he trusts Amy. He like, she been nothing but helpful, but I'm like, you don't think she been a little too helpful? You know, so I go eventually tell my mom about it, and my mom was like, she said the same thing. I said, like, you trust these folk? I'm like, Mom, honestly, I think something wrong. Honestly, I just felt it, y'all. It's almost like the hair on my neck starting instead of I'm feeling that something ain't right. And so my mom said, let me speak to these folk myself. So she got on the phone with Amy. I'm sitting across from my mom listening to the conversation. And Amy say the same exact thing to my mother. She said, ma'am, no, Miss Hamer, whatever she said, we just need your name to get it through there. She was like, after that, we're going to take your name off in 1 to 2 months and you won't have no financial responsibility. That's what she told her. My mom asked multiple times, are you sure? Because I do not want to be responsible for any of this. This lady said, ma'am, this is what we do. I assure you, you won't have any financial responsibility. Y'all just continue in the next video. So, my mom even spoke to Alicia. Alicia is the property manager, y'all. And she actually is going to be the orchestrator of all of this. This whole big thing that they're going to end up doing to us, she orchestrated it. Okay? So she's the biggest villain in my story. And as a matter of fact, her and Amy, they tiff and tap. Because even though they dad wanted to believe Amy was on his side, you're going to find out later on whose side Amy on. But wait a minute. So my mom spoke to Alicia, the property manager. She tell my mom the same exact thing. They're going to take her out. It's just to get the application through. We really want to help him. And I'm like, why though? Like, why all of a sudden y'all so desperate to help this man when y'all was being stingy with them other two properties? But all of a sudden, here come this property and y'all desperate to give it to him. You know? But still, he believed it's legit. So I'm like, man, you know, man, please look somewhere. But he like, I'm telling you, this is this. I'm like, okay. And you know, I went against my better judgment. Yeah. And I kind of beat myself up about that later on. But anyway, so, my mom eventually agreed and said, okay, I'll do it as long as y'all take my name off. And my mama kept saying it, like, as long as y'all get my name. They kept saying, Miss, we're going to get your name off. I'm telling you. So anyway, so before they signed, he had not seen the property yet. He told them point blank, I'm not going to sign without seeing that property. And for some reason, he could never get to see it. So he ended up back in Mississippi. And they was like, so the property is ready to be seen. And we'll FaceTime you. So Amy ended up calling him, y'all. This is another red flag here. She gonna tell the man, I'm just calling to let you know Alicia wanted me to lie to you and say that if you don't go ahead and sign the lease, that the property is gonna be given to someone else. She was like, that is just not true, and I'm just not that type of person. I can't do that to you. That place is not up to standards. So I'm gonna call you when it's ready. But if I FaceTime you today, please just don't answer, and I can say that you didn't answer. And because I'm telling you, nobody's gonna get that property. Nobody is up for that property. That is just a lie, okay? Yeah, hold on. After he got the fucker, he had on speakerphone. I'm listening to her. I'm listening to her, y'all. He got on speakerphone. And so I say to him, I said, man, hell no. I said, something wrong with that property. I said, cause why is this property manager trying to scam you into signing before you even see it? I said, something wrong with that property. He felt like, because Amy. So I guess because he felt like that lady warned him that he was safe or whatever. But I'm already knowing, I'm like, some fishy going on. And I'm like, man, you need to listen to me. I said, maybe this is not a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And he still insisting. He was like, look, it's just a start. He was like, she warned me. Why would she warn me? You know, this him wanting to believe that this lady on his side. But like I said, he gonna be very regretful later. But anyway, so, okay. I'm letting you leave. Even though I'm sitting back looking at you crazy like something ain't right here. So the lady didn't FaceTime him, right? She didn't FaceTime him. So she ended up FaceTiming him a week later to see the property. So they all on FaceTime giggling like they best friends or whatever. And I'm sitting back like, man, that FaceTime ain't telling you the underlying issues. It's not. So he all confident at this point. He was like, he think he got a good person on his side here. Like, yeah, this gonna be good. And so the property on FaceTime, y'all, I can tell it was small, but I ain't know it was gonna be as small as it's gonna be when we actually get there. But hold on. So after he done seen the property, him and my mom signed the lease. And again, y'all, even this time before my mama signed it, she asked them folks again, was they sure they gonna take her out? Cause like my mom does not want any financial responsibility here. She don't live in this place. You telling her to do this. This was your idea. It wasn't our idea, right? And so they tell her again, yes, we're gonna take you out. So my mom and him end up signing, and y'all, we end up packing up. So he and I went up there before we even brought our kids up there. So when we came in the dead of the night, probably 12 a.m. or something like that, when we made it there. And y'all, Lord help, y'all, I was so doggone disappointed in what I was seeing. I said, where the hell you taking me? Yeah, it looked like we were going through the ghetto. I said, now this ain't what I saw online. And I'm going to blame myself later because, y'all, I'm a deep diver. And I admit, it was so much going on. It's a lot of other stuff going on that I ain't talking about because that might be it. But, and I usually deep dive, like, and stuff. And I didn't. I just looked on the surface of things. And, yeah, I'm going to beat myself up a little bit about that later. So, anyway, we in this neighborhood, and I'm like, man, what it did? I said, I know this ain't where this community is. So he turned into the community, y'all. Mind you, on Village Green. I went on their website, and honestly, when I saw their website, they depict it as something totally different from what you're gonna see in real life. So I'm shocked when we rolling up on there, and I'm like, what is this? Because online, totally different way how they depict it, y'all. Even their houses. They put them online like y'all almost look like you just got them off the lot from the company that built it. So y'all, they advertise their properties like they just came off the lot, like freshly built. And I'm telling you, that's not how they gonna look in person. It's not. All of this just not what you gonna see online. As far as my perspective, that it don't look nothing like it online. So y'all, we ended up going to the property. And when I saw that property, I'm like, where the hell the tree at? Like, I could have sworn I seen a tree. I thought I seen a tree on a picture. Y'all, it was a vacant lot beside it. I'm talking about trashy. Like, it just looks trashy out here. I'm talking about, y'all, I'm like, man, ain't no way. He looking at me crazy like, Sade, it's just a start. Ain't no way I don't want to start like this. So I'm already disappointed just looking at the outside of this place. So I'm like, okay. And another thing, y'all, I'm like, ain't no way this is what they claim you couldn't afford. Y'all, no, I'm knowing that man makes some pretty decent money. I'm like, so, damn, why you gotta be damn near rich to stay in something like this? Like, it was, y'all, a crackhead could have bought this with money they got from another crackhead. That's how this place look. Now, no offense to crackheads, I'm just saying. So, anyway, y'all, we ended up going in there. And y'all, as soon as that door opened, this very potent smell of roach hit me in my face. I'm talking the wind hit me in my face so hard. Then there's a roach on the door. Like, it opened the door almost. Peeping out, like, trying to see who did come. Like, roaches, y'all. Roach on the floor. And I told him, I said, man, do you smell that? I said, hell no, they got roaches real bad in here. Because ain't no way you supposed to be smelling it like that. There was no new paint smell, no cleaning supply smell, none of that. Roaches. That's all you smell when you walk in. So I said, man, hell no, pull that stove back. When he pulled the stove back, y'all, they just scattered everywhere. And I told him, man, no. I could have broke down right there. I said, ain't no way. So he like, I'm gonna take care of. So he got all the stuff out of the U-Haul, y'all. Put it all in the middle of the floor. And I'm like, man, I don't know why you bringing stuff in here. I like, we can't stay in no place like these. Roaches greeting us. Like, you know roaches bad. They greeting you at the door. He like, I'm going to take care of it, okay? So he ended up setting up a bed so we can get like 3 hours of downtime before we get back on the road. Y'all, why when he set that bed up, I'm going to say it was like 10 minutes later, this translucent bug crawling on the headboard, y'all. Continue on to part 3, y'all. Y'all gonna learn what that translucent bug really was. Y'all, so when I seen this translucent bug crawling on that headboard, I said, what the hell is that? I'm up there hollering, like, what is this? And it looks so weird, and I kind of just went on ahead and wrote it off as like a baby roach or something. But y'all, we're gonna later find out what the hell kind of bug that was on that headboard. So anyway, y'all, fast forward, we done got up when we got our kids. We back to Mississippi, got our kids, and brought them back. I told my kids from the door, y'all gonna be very disappointed when y'all see this mess. Very disappointed. Dad looking crazy. I'm like, yeah, I said it. They're gonna be very disappointed when they see this mess. So when my kids got there, they were disappointed. Very. We get up in there, y'all. We ain't even been to the back, so we ain't even knowing how bad it is back there. Y'all, them roaches were running wild back there. Wow. And I'm talking about my kids hollering, fighting, hitting. Like, all you heard was shoes and stuff, hitting stuff. And so I said, you know what? Give me all y'all stuff. Bring that stuff right back in here. I said, we're not putting nothing up in here. Because I'm already making my mind up that we can't stay here, y'all. Ain't no way. So they brought all their stuff back in the front. So he had already told Amy about it. And she said she going to take care of it. She going to get the house sprayed or whatever. I'm like, I don't care nothing about that. There's no way we should have walked in here and smelled roaches and saw roaches. It didn't even smell like they cleaned it up in there. Nothing like that. Okay, y'all. So, fast forward. My baby fighting for dear life that night. We had got there like 11 something. Like, she fighting for dear life. So, I done moved her bed and everything. Because roaches crawling all on this girl bed. So, the room is this big. All the room was too small up in there. That place was literally too small from our family anyway. So, her bed, the room did big. We moved the bed. I said, well, I'm gonna move the bed over here. Maybe that'll help. And I just felt so bad. I said, baby, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I said, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna get us home. I'm already talking about going home, y'all. But my daughter, My poor 14-year-old, that's my 14-year-old I'm talking about, y'all. When we left for Christmas, she did not come back. That child was more traumatized, I think, than me. No, I think I had her beat by a little bit. But she was traumatized right after me. But let me tell you what happened. So that same night, I kept hearing her in there fighting. And I'm sitting up, I'm barely sleeping because I'm worried about my kids. So I get up real early that next morning. And I hear my daughter screaming at the top of her lungs. All the poor baby screaming, y'all. Alright, so I wake up to my baby screaming. I rush to her room. And y'all, she's like, Mom, it was on my neck. She fighting her neck, y'all. And I said, what was on your neck? And she said, Mom, honestly, I don't know what these things are. And I'm like, what? Like, she didn't say roaches this time. She said, I don't know what these things are. And y'all, ain't nothing really registered in my head or what they could be, you know? So I walk out and I'm calling their dad. So in the midst of me calling him, she texts my phone and said, Mom, I think these are bed bugs, y'all. Bed bugs. This baby sent me a picture off Google. Said, Mommy, I think these are bed bugs. So I run back to my child. And I said, are you sure this is what you been saying? Mind you, y'all, we ain't know what no bed bug look like. Where we from, we ain't got them. We don't know nothing about these things. Like, literally, we are ignorant to what they are, what they do, all that. Now, y'all see this? Yeah.
That's not for you.
This for me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. You might know I'm tired and hot up in here. So, y'all, like I said, we don't know much about bed bugs. We ain't got bed bugs where we from. So, I'm like, boo, you sure this is what you saw? I'm pointing at the picture she done sent me. My baby said, y'all, she said, Mommy, I woke out my sleep and there were several of them crawling up my cover. And it was one on my neck that I knocked off my neck. Y'all, I lost it. I'm talking about, I'm hollering, screaming. Like that baby told me she found the dead body. I called a dad hollering at the top. Y'all, I'm hollering at the top of my lungs. And he trying to calm me down. I'm like, ain't no damn calm down. Like my baby, imagine a 14-year-old baby waking up and seeing them things on her. I got a very tough baby. I'm talking about she real nonchalant, very smart, just headstrong, and her emotional maturity, like it's at another level, y'all. She more mature than me sometimes, I think. And I'm like, I know this done screwed with her. I know this was too much. So anyway, cause later on, y'all, like, my baby gonna leave. My baby gonna leave before everybody. But anyway, so he ended up coming to that house. He called Amy and them. He told them, like, it's bed bugs in here, you know. So an exterminator came that same day, and he ended up leaving, going back to work, and the exterminator is there. So the exterminator is assessing my baby's bed. So I tell the exterminator, I said, sir, by the way, we didn't bring them things here. Because, y'all, we hadn't even been there 24 hours. Hadn't even been there 15 hours, I don't think. Hadn't been there long at all. We just came that night. So he gonna tell me, y'all, that man gonna tell me, he said, oh, I know you didn't bring them here. We know they were already here. And I'm just like, you knew they were already here, so why the hell we in here? So obviously these things been in here and y'all aware of it. Why we here? Okay, y'all. So I'm steady talking. I'm like, she sent me pictures, you know, but I'm talking about my daughter, y'all, and I ain't never say my daughter. So this man gonna say, oh, she sent me the pictures already. So I said, who sent you pictures? This man said the property manager sent him pictures. Y'all, when I say, what the fuck? Like you heal, Billy. Like, y'all, hold on. Y'all, just continue in the next video.
I don't know who this is, but if this is my older brother, bruh, this can't be the same older brother that teamed up with my mom and went against me. Ain't you the same older brother that watched my mama put me out? Not that first time, but that second time. You watched her put me out. You even got upset. You was getting aggressive with me too. And when I called your phone, when I was outside, because she put me out at nighttime. When I called your phone and I asked you about my monies, you don't remember what you said? You forgot, didn't you? You forgot. You told me you ain't give a fuck about my monies. You was yelling in my face. You don't remember that? You don't remember when after y'all put me out and a week went by And I texted the family group chat to come and get my stuff, and you ain't said nothing, and my mama was being nasty to me. I said, "Where can I come get my stuff? I gotta work." And she said she was gonna put my stuff outside. This can't be the same brother that when I had stayed in a homeless shelter and I stacked my bread and got on my feet and got my first apartment, you came over to my first apartment and told me that before my mom even put me out, that y'all had a conversation together and she asked you if she should put me out. And instead of you saying no, you told her that you didn't feel like our relationship was gonna get better under the same roof, as if that was my fault, as if I was y'all's mom. Because the first time you commented, I gave you grace. I ignored you. When you waited till hours after my birthday to comment happy belated birthday, when you could have just wished me happy birthday. But I'm glad you moved like that, because I was able to ignore you. I probably wasn't gonna say nothing back anyway. And go ahead and let our mom know that I love her and that I know the truth now behind why she did all that things to me during our upbringing. Let her know that. Let her know that I know about the agreement her and my dad have to keep secrets away from me of things that they did to me. Also, let her know this too, that her ex-husband, who was my biological father, was a predator, and let him know that I know that he did inappropriate things to me when I was a child. I believe when I was a toddler. It could have been before that. Things probably could have been going on after that. But let him know that I know that my father was attracted to me inappropriately, and my mama knew the whole time. And she went back with him and decided to raise me with my predator. Let our mom know that I know this now, because I know that was supposed to be a top secret that was supposed to be kept from me. But I'm going to make sure everybody knows. Since y'all wanted y'all moment, since y'all got on the phone and let everybody know when I was homeless and when I was staying in a homeless shelter and when I didn't have everything together, y'all got on that phone and y'all let everybody know. So y'all get on the phone and y'all let everybody know that my dad was being inappropriate with me when I was only just a child. And my mom stayed with him, and that's why she hated me my whole fucking upbringing. So y'all make sure all them people y'all called to tell them when I was homeless and that I was on drugs and I was crazy, y'all pick that phone up and y'all call them back and y'all tell them what I said, okay? Bye.
I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband. I am going to be going over a lot, so this will be multiple parts. I just want to pre-warn you guys and beware that this will be a long one. If you're looking for the fast version, this ain't it. I do feel like my post is going to help not only explain the details of what happened, but educate everybody on what CPS is, what the authorities are able to do in certain circumstances. Because me personally, my friends and I searched up and down on TikTok to try to find answers, to try to find different things that may have happened. And honestly, there's not a lot that really goes into detail. So I am going to share my experience with you. I will share what made me call CPS, what happened when I called the authorities, all the way to the middle of us going to these CPS investigations, and then also what happens at the very end once the case is closed, which is what I am currently going through right now. I do want to state one thing before we get started. In the back of your mind, when you're listening to this, there are moments that I am guilty also. I'm not guilty of child abuse, but I am guilty for turning a blind eye, for not sticking up for what I believe in and for the child, and it's something that I will have to live with. So do know when when you're going through this, believe me, I'm already kicking myself in the butt. I'm also hoping that you guys learn from my experience and be the better person, because I wish I was years ago. All right, so we're gonna give code names because I don't want to give the information of the child or the mother. So my ex-best friend, we are going to name her Carly. The stepdaughter who was abused, her name is going to be Marie. And then we have the other daughter, who is Carly's biological daughter, is going to be Stacy. And then we're going to have the father, whose name is going to be Bob. And then another person who's going to be in the story is going to be the grandmother, which is Carly's mom. Her name is going to be Karen. All right, so I am going to give a little backstory just so that you understand who these characters are. Since you don't know them, I do. All right, so we have Carly and Stacy, which is mother and daughter. Then we have Bob and Marie, which is father and daughter. So you have Bob and Carly, who meet on Tinder, and they end up getting pregnant. So at this point, they're going to have a baby, which now blends the whole family together. So one thing I will say is that Carly already, the first like time of meeting Marie, does not like her. And this just continues to get worse and worse. So over time, Marie has always been treated differently. She is not loved or treated like all the other children. So after they have their first child together, they end up having another one almost right after, almost like Irish twins is how you could put it. So now they have not only the stepdaughters, they now have 2 additional children that are in the mix. But I will tell you, from day one all the way till today's date, Marie has been treated differently. She has not been loved like everybody else. She has the most craziest and strictest punishments I've ever seen. I'll go ahead and give you some examples of those. Okay, before the examples, I need you guys to understand who Bob is, though, to kind of paint the picture. Bob is Marie's biological father and obviously the father to all the other kids. And he treats Stacy just like his own daughter. So he treats her amazingly. Everybody except Marie. I will say that I'm very disappointed in Bob because there was a lot of talks that I had with him where I told him he needed to stick up for his daughter, but he was like a yes man person. He listened to whatever Carly told him. Carly wore the pants in the family. She did everything. She controlled everything. And to be quite honest, I'm pretty damn certain that Bob is also mentally and emotionally and financially abused by Carly. She has very narcissistic characteristics, so she controls everything. So anything that she says goes, which also made Bob honestly change who he was as a person and be the way he was towards Marie. Okay, one more character, I promise I'm almost done. Karen. Karen is Carly's mother. She is a bitch. I don't know how else to put it. Her name, Karen, honestly fits her. That's not even her real name, but it really should be. We do not like Karen. We've never liked Karen. We only put up with Karen because we love Carly. But she is the start of everything. She is the reason why Carly is the way she is. If you took that version, it's like Carly was a good version of who her mom was, but still was very much like her mother. And it just honestly was a cycle. Okay, now that you know who these people are, let's get into the punishments. So first off, she had to do a lot of wall sits. I'm talking about a lot of wall sits. And I remember standing there and like they would like whip her like with like a maybe not a belt or like a spatula, and they would like hit her every time that her legs would start to wiggle and she would go down. It got so hard for me to watch that I would have to like leave the room, and it made me really, really sad. And I always told, Carly, my best friend, like, I don't agree with this. But again, she was not my child, and so it was really difficult for me to intervene. I respected my best friend. I really, really respected my best friend. She not only was my best friend, but she's also a paralegal. Like, she works in family law. And she has told me constantly that like wall sits are not, child abuse. We have some other punishments that have came into place. Like, for an example, one time she got in trouble for like, I don't know, I think she like took like a chapstick from one of her friends, and it turned into this big fiasco. And at some point when Marie got home, all of her furniture was gone, including her mattress and her bed. So only thing that there was a sheet, not even a pillow, just a sheet. And I remember Carly calling me and thinking it was like really funny. And I was very intimidated with everything that was happening. I never really went along with it. I didn't say anything though. I wouldn't say anything. But then a day would go by and I would write Carly and I'd be like, hey, like I've had a lot of time to think about this. And like, I think this is a really weird punishment. Like, even people in jail get mattresses. You need to give her back her mattress. Like, at least if you want to take away her room, whatever, but please just give her back her mattress. And like within like a few days, she was able to give him back. So like that was one punishment. There was another punishment where like she wasn't allowed to wash her body or her hair. So like she could not shower at all. And that was very strange to me. I remember leaving her house and crying and writing my best friend Carly again and being like, hey, like, I've thought about like what you said, but this is really gross. Like, she's a girl. She's not even just a girl. She's a teenage girl. She needs to bathe herself. Like, that is disgusting. And guess what? It was all over her not having straight A's. Her daughter Marie has she has like ADHD, she has tics, she has all these different things. And Carly sees that as her using it as an excuse, even though she has a learning disability. So because she does not have straight A's, she now is not allowed to bathe or wash her hair. Once I talked to her, she was like, okay, I'll give her back the showers, but now she can't wash her hair. Wild, right? Like wild. And at some point, she went on, as from my understanding, it went on as long as like 3 weeks. There was also this punishment, which was called room jail. This is where she had to sit on her mattress and basically sit in her room and like stare at the wall. And they would put a camera in the room and they would not allow for Marie to like lay down. So if there was any moment in time that she like started to lay down, like they would go in there and like yell at her and tell her that she had to like stay awake. So she would literally stay awake and stare at the wall and she could not do anything else. And this would go on for days and days and days. And it was awful. And it honestly felt like she was always in trouble and always grounded. Marie has tics, and there was moments like where Carly would come by and like anytime that like Marie would be like start doing her tics, like Carly would just like yell at her or like smack her in the face and basically like degrade her. All right, there's one more example. There's a lot of examples, but I'm going to give you one more that really stuck with me. She would overfeed Marie. And I mean, when I say overfeed, I mean like disgustingly overfeed her. Marie was very confident in her body. She had a really nice figure with, you know, cute hips and she has a cute butt and like, you know, she's just a girl. She's a teenage girl. And Carly did not like that she liked herself. So Carly would try to make her bigger. She would literally overfeed her and make it like a party trick till she would get sick. So like we as friends would always be like, what the heck is going on? Like we would go to a party and she would make us order a full pizza for Marie and Marie would have to eat the whole thing. We would go to McDonald's and she would call and be like, okay, what did Marie eat? And we'd be like, oh, she ate like, you know, a 10-piece chicken nugget, a large fry. She's like, that's not enough. You need to order her 2 Big Macs, another order of 10 nuggets and make sure she eats it all. It was very, very weird when I tell you, like looking back, I always knew it was weird, but like kind of seeing it now for the light, I'm like, holy crap, like what? Now the other stepdaughter, her name is Stacy. Stacy is a really, really good kid, a very, very well-behaved child. And I'm not going to state that Marie wasn't, it's just that Marie and her are different. You can't compare the kids. They're just different children. And so you could tell night and day, like who Carly's favorite child was. It was always Stacy. And so it was just this battle between them. And it really irked me because I'm a stepchild and I had that battle with my stepbrother all the time. It was always like my mom and my dad, and they always picked our sides because we were step siblings. Like I just knew what that felt like. So I had a very, I understood Marie more than others. I also, you know, was a problematic child. Like there's just so much that goes on to the story. So let's go ahead and kind of get a little bit into it. I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband. This is going to be part 2. In part 1, I do talk about who these people are. I give them all code names because I'm not going to share like their identities. Don't worry. I already figured by me posting this is going to be people that say that I share the blame with my best friend. I don't disagree. I don't. I've already taken my accountability. I have already sat back and thought about different things that I could do. And honestly, I'm ashamed of myself, but I did do the right thing. If you just continue to listen, you'll understand what steps I took, what measures I took, and also maybe just learn from me with my mistakes. We're going to go over code names again. So we have Carly, who is the stepmother. We have Marie, who is the stepdaughter. We have Stacy, who is the biological daughter to Carly. And then we have Bob, who is the biological father to Marie. So they are a blended family. We talk about all the abuse that, you know, all the abuse that I personally believe is abuse that has happened. I will tell you guys that plenty of times I talked to the cops and I talked to CPS, and everything that I stated in the last video, they told me was not abuse, that it was disgusting and it was gross, but it's not considered abuse. So believe me, it's frustrating. It gets even more frustrating. So let's continue with the story. So Marie and I have a very, very strong relationship. I love all of them, but I love Marie the most. I will say she is my favorite. She is the one that I navigate towards, and it's because of everything that happens to her. I want to be that safe space for her. She comes to me for everything, and if I can take her away for the day, I take her away for the day. During this last month or so before the abuse happened, me and her had stayed very close in contact. She was going through something personal. I'm not going to talk about it, but something personal with teenage stuff. And also as a mother, like I don't agree with what she was doing, but I wanted to guide her in the right direction. I do believe that all these things that have happened to her in the past are all surfaced now. And it's hard for her to relate to her stepmother, Carly, and also to even talk to her father, Bob. Okay, I'm gonna try not to do that again. I believe it was like around June, I woke up in the morning and there was text messages on my phone, and it was my niece Marie. She was begging for me to talk to her. She told me that she did something bad and that she had been punished for it. So I started to ask her a few questions, like what happened, and she told me, you know, daddy whipped me with a charger cord over and over and over again. And I was already just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? She was like, daddy whipped me with a charger cord. And she kind of said it just very like nonchalant. And I'm just like, and she goes, do you want me to send you a picture or videos? And I'm like, yes, like, please send me something. So she ends up sending me a full-on video that shows the marks. Now the marks are going to be on her arm for defense wounds. She also had some on her legs that were like going this way. She had a lot of marks on her back that you can tell like where it was whipped. And then her bottom had like crisscross, like French fries from freaking Carl's Jr., the crisscross cuts. And there was also some like on her thighs and her inner thighs. So there was a lot on there. I was honestly flabbergasted because I don't know why I was, but I was. I couldn't believe like what was happening, especially coming from Bob. I more considered that coming from like Carly, but not Bob. So at this point, I now contact our other best friend, Katie, and I'm like, hey, we need to get inside this house. And so me and her are on a mission how to get inside. One thing I do need you guys to understand is that Marie was not allowed to have the cell phone. So she was sneaking that cell phone around. So typically, like, I wouldn't have known about this if she wasn't sneaking that cell phone around. And I also didn't want to go in there and let them know that we did know, because then that would blow like Marie's cover and then she would probably get in more trouble. So I was trying to figure out a way how to get inside the house and basically like see the marks and be like, what the fuck is going on? Confront them, you know? So me and Katie go to the house and nobody's there. We have our own codes like to their house. So we, you know, walk right in, and the only person that's there is Karen. So I go to the bathroom. Katie grabs some water. We're really paranoid at this point, but we're about to walk out. And as we're about to walk out, Karen says, hey, make sure to lock the door because I don't want the cops coming in. And we both like turned our heads like, what? Like, what do you mean the cops? Like, that's a weird thing to say. She was like, yeah, you know, from the incident that happened yesterday, she had already thought that Carly had told us what happened, but she didn't tell us what happened. So we're like, no, she didn't tell us what happened. Like, what happened? So Karen goes, oh, okay. So we sit down like on the staircase and we're talking to Karen, and Karen's telling us the story, what we already know, that basically Marie was doing something she wasn't supposed to. Bob came in, whipped her, and basically Stacy, the other stepsister, she called 911. But Karen was so just gross about how the way she was saying it. She was like, oh, like my poor pumpkin. She felt like she had to call the cops because of Marie, because Marie had to do this because she was, oh, poor Marie. Like, it's fucking disgusting, guys. When I say that Carly is the way she is because of her mom, I fucking mean it. Like, oh, I can't stand that woman. So we let her continue to basically tell us everything. One thing that really pissed me off was that I found out that Marie was being hidden at Karen's house, and Karen was complaining about it. She was like, I have to hold her here until all the bruises go away because the cops are trying to talk to her. Like, the way that she was saying this made me want to vomit. Then you had her talking about where Bob was. We were like, well, where's Bob? She was like, oh, Bob's being hidden at Carly's house. And we were like, what? Because remember, they're separating. So right now they live separate. So she's basically telling us that both of them are being hidden by, you know, Karen and by Carly. So mother and daughter, woo. And that just infuriated me. It infuriated me because, like, how dare you guys do that? So me and Katie walk out of the house, we get in the car, we drive off, and we both look at each other. And now we both know that Carly, our best friend, does know about what's happening. She didn't tell us, and she's hiding. She thinks this is okay, so she's hiding Bob and she's hiding Marie. So we are kind of pissed off. We're like, fuck this. We have to go to the cops. Like, there's nothing else that we can do. We have to go to the police. Now, we end up going to my house first. And when we get to my house, we talk to my husband because my husband unfortunately called CPS on his mom when he was younger. So he kind of gave us a lot of information and like kind of like the steps that we should do. But I'm gonna be very honest, me and Katie didn't listen. He suggested that we called CPS in the morning. He said, hey, calling CPS is the right like route to go. Calling the cops, they're not gonna be able to do anything. But we just felt like there was enough evidence to bring to the cops. So we decided to go that route. So me and Katie end up getting in the car, we call the cops and we give them all the information. We try to be anonymous because at this point, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, okay? Remember, this is me being real with you. We were very loyal to our best friend. Very, very, very loyal. And it was very hard for me to like disconnect from that. And I'll take responsibility for that. But We wanted to try to stay anonymous. We were trying to put this more towards Bob because the incident was with Bob and Marie, but we all know where this stems from. There's a long line of abuse that led up to this. So we are trying to be anonymous. It's not working. Honestly, at some point we have to send them videos and pictures and all the good stuff. And that kind of just gives our phone number and our email. So we realized after a long time, it's hard to be anonymous. So we now, the cops tell us that they're going to go to the house. They're going to do like a well check on Karen's house and see if they can get Marie out. So they do go to Karen's house. Nobody's there except for Marie and the step grandfather. So I know that the grandfather came to the door with Marie, and Marie was like, they were like, hey, we're just doing a check on you. Like, we were told like blank, blank, blank. And she was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And guys, I'm not going to blame her. This is like normal characteristics of somebody who's been abused. They are not going to trust the cops. They're not going to trust anybody. Also, you have to remember that her mom is a paralegal with family law. Like, she knows so much. She knows so many people. That has always terrified Marie. So Marie basically says that everything's fine. They close the door and they leave. And the cops end up calling us, giving us like information of what happened. And honestly, we're so defeated at this point, but we know that we have to go to bed and try again tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We then wake up in the morning and we get a message from our best friend, Carly. We are in a group chat on Facebook. That's like the messenger. And we talk to each other every single day. It's like our daily dose of like therapy. So she ends up writing us, you know what, actually, I'll show you. Okay, I had to block off a lot of things in here just because I'm not going to do that to Marie. I'm not going to post her business on there, like where it shows like what she did to get in trouble. But this is our friend Carly. Morning, weekend was crazy. I've got to update you guys. So this was the update that normally she would do sooner, but she didn't. Then it says, so now after talking with the police and her therapist, we are looking into an all-girls boarding or military school. So I will tell you that the action that Marie took was not, I mean, it was bad. It wasn't going to military or boarding school like appropriate. I'm going to be very honest with you. And I do think that the therapist that they were talking to, they just weren't giving the whole story. They were only giving their portion of the story because they just do that when it comes to her. Okay, this is Carly, and Bob is avoiding the police since he is on probation, but I've talked to them and they already talked to Marie. Then it's me. Your mom told us last night, and so are you okay with Marie being beat with a charger cord is okay? Because I don't. Then this is Carly. Are we okay with the events that happened? No. But is it worth Bob going to jail? Absolutely not. This was the moment that me and Katie realized that our friend was no longer just our friend. I mean, we had to pick or choose, and we chose Marie. That is the decision we made. So at that point, me and Katie both logged out of work. We took our PTO time and we went on a mission to find Marie's biological mother because she does have one. That will be in part 3. I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband, and this is part 3, so let's get into it. So before I get started, I think it's really important that I give you guys like a little background story on our friendship dynamic. This is very important to the story so you can understand who Carly is, because everybody's wondering how we could be friends with such like a horrible person. But that's the thing. I think people think that Carly was horrible all the time and she did this all the time. That did not happen. Like, there were a lot of moments that we saw with Marie. There were a lot of moments that I spent every single holiday with that family. They were my family. That's the only way I can kind of put that to you. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, like we did everything together. We had our babies together, literally side by side in different rooms. She was my maid of honor in my wedding. She was the person that got me through my grief when it came to my mother. She held my mother's celebration of life. She was family. So I need you guys to understand that I was very codependent on my best friend, very codependent. She got me through the darkest times that I've ever had to do. If you know me, you know my story. I'm a survivor of so many different crimes, but the biggest crime is that I was a part of an attempted murder and fetal abduction case. Katie was always there for me. Katie's my other best friend, but Carly was just my rock. I don't know how else to put it. She was my soulmate. She was somebody that I literally praised and thought that she was the best person in the whole world. So every time that something little would happen with Marie and Carly, I would try to be like, okay, there's good parts of her. Maybe she's right. She was also a paralegal, and I kind of believed everything that she stated when she would be like, no, this isn't child abuse. Like, I can show you. I work on child abuse cases. Like, she manipulated the fuck out of me, and not only me, but she manipulated the fuck out of our whole friend group. Our whole friend group. Little by little, we started to piece things together, Katie and I, because we were the last two standing. All right, sorry, one last thing. I did notice that everybody is saying that I wasn't like an advocate for Marie. I've always been an advocate for Marie. Maybe not in the ways that you guys think, but I was always in her corner. I was always there. I'm the one that talked Carly into giving certain things back, or also by lessening the punishment. Little by little, Carly would almost like not allow for Marie to come to my house anymore. So little by little, she would isolate Marie so that she wasn't able to talk to any of us. All right, so where I left off is that Katie and I have now realized that Carly is not going to change her mind about how she feels, and she is going to defend Bob and also just think that this whole thing's okay. So Katie and I log out for the day, we take our PTO time, and we realize that we need to loop in one of our other friends. Her name is Brandy. Brandy is actually a neighbor to Bob and Carly, and Brandy actually did call the cops on Bob and Carly about a month prior and ended her friendship with them. I'm gonna try to make this really fast. Basically, Marie did something. The littles witnessed like Marie being punished, and Carly and Bob basically told the littles to go to like the neighbor's house. They didn't want the littles there while this was all happening. So the littles went over there. Brandy's daughter was there also, and she recorded herself talking to the littles so that she can show her mom. And the littles were talking about how like Marie was being punished, how she got kicked, and how she was being hit. And so that's what prompted Brandy to call the cops. Now the cops did get there, nothing happened, because I will tell you that even after going through this whole situation with Bob and Carly, like they get away with everything. I don't understand it. I have zero clue how. Just somehow she's able to flip that script and make Marie like the bad person. So it's really weird how this always happens, but it does. So in that situation, that's what happened, and we believed what Bob and Carly were telling us because we didn't talk to Brandy about it. We just talked among ourselves. They gave us a different version, so we were like, fuck Brandy, basically. Like Brandy was just being dramatic and fuck her. So now we're kind of looping Brandy back in. We're apologizing, also telling her like, hey, we're sorry that we didn't like give you the opportunity to talk, but we're here to listen. We think that something else is going on too. So we decide to work together and get Marie out. So step one, we needed to figure out where the biological mother was. We all don't really know too much about the biological mother, and we're gonna call her Rhonda. So we don't know too much about Rhonda. We only know what we've heard from Marie and Bob. But at this point, we're starting to piece things together and realize, like, I think there's a lot of things that are really incorrect, like that Marie or that Carly and Bob have told us. So we don't even care at this point. All we know is that the only way to get her out, since Carly and Bob will not admit what happened, is to find the biological mother and get her to come and get her daughter, basically. So Katie and I go on a mission. So first off, we're searching anybody and everybody who has to do with like Marie's biological family. So I'm texting Marie also. She's texting me and she's being very, very, secretive. She's at her dad's house and she'll grab the phone when her dad's working and kind of start texting me and have to put it back. So I can't get, I guess sometimes when I was talking to her, I couldn't talk to her like right on the spot. I had to like wait for the responses. But little by little, she would feed me information. This is my aunt. This is my uncle. This is my cousin. So I'm over here finding all these people on Facebook. I'm looking on Instagram. We end up finding people. We're messaging them. And then at some point, we realize, you know what? There's a lot of like cases when they were doing like their child support and when they were doing custody battles. Let's go to the freaking courthouse. So we end up driving to Maricopa County and we find like a courthouse and we get all the information to figure out what the parenting schedule is, just everything that has to do with Marie and her family, And what we ended up finding out was that in the parental agreement, there was a section that stated from June 1st to like June 14th is the parenting time for Rhonda. So we were like, oh my God, today's June 2nd, or I don't remember the dates actually, but we were in that period where Rhonda can go and basically get her daughter. So we go to the courthouse, print out all the paperwork, we get everything certified, and now we're on a mission to find Rhonda. Rhonda is not very easy to find. She goes by different names on Facebook. So we finally find her. We find somebody that knows her because she's not answering our messages. And finally, Rhonda calls us and she's like, who is this? And we're like, I know we're crazy, but we know your daughter. Marie's being abused. We need to see you. You're the only person that can help her. Please, please let us like come and talk to you. And at first she was like, what? Like, she thought we were crazy, right? Like, because that's what crazy people do. But she ended up believing us and she gave us her address. So we drove all the way like an hour away from our house to go to Rhonda's house to show her everything, to lay everything out to her, to show her you have like your parenting schedule says that you can grab her now. You're the only person that can save her. And when we met Rhonda, she was just bawling. She was like, I can't thank you enough for coming and finding me. Like, she has been in a battle with them, and I'm not going to talk about her story because it's a lot, but I will say that at the end of all of this, I love Rhonda. Rhonda has become a friend of mine. I believe that Carly and Bob alienate, like, parental alienation of her, and you'll realize throughout the story, even when we're in CPS, how much they continue to keep doing that. So it's not very important why the biological mother wasn't a part of Marie's life. I'm going to tell you, and I hope that you believe me, that this all was caused from Bob and Carly. They created this whole thing. So we end up finding her. She believes us, and I'm like, we need to go back to Maricopa right now. So she gets in the car with us, strangers that she just met, and we go to Maricopa. We go to the police station. We hand them the certified letter that shows like this is her exercising her parenting rights, and they're like, okay, like, all right. And at this moment too, we give them all the information. So I'll tell you right now that the cops already had all of our information and the videos because we reported this the night before. So now we're kind of talking with them. We're giving them more information they need, text messages, doing screenshots, things like that. And then they're like, okay, give us about an hour and a half and we will go to Karen's residence and you can go stand outside and tell them that you want to exercise your parenting rights. So it's about 8:30 at night. Me and Katie go and park down the street and we're watching. The cops are outside of Karen's house with Rhonda and they don't answer. They are refusing to answer the door. You can tell there's cars there. There's dogs that are fucking going crazy barking, but still nobody answers. They sat there for about 15 minutes knocking. And finally the cops were like, it's out of our hands. Like, we can't do anything. Like, we can't force them to answer and we can't force for them to come out. And it was just so heartbreaking because Rhonda hasn't talked to her daughter in a very long time. She has had phone calls with her, but I will tell you, Carly and Bob, for the last year, they told Rhonda the only way that you can see your daughter is if you call us every single night at 7 o'clock and leave a voicemail. And if Marie decides that she wants to contact you, we'll let her. It was all a game though. Like, there was one time that Rhonda was in the hospital because she had kidney stones, and she gets really, really bad kidney stones. And so she had to get hospitalized because of it. And she called like at, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock and was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm calling so late. I know you told me I have to call at 7, but this is what's going on. And basically Carly was like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Like, you can't even listen to rules that we give you on how to call and talk to Marie. Instead, you have to call us later. Like, it was ridiculous, guys. But believe it or not, I remember when this all happened, Carly very much told me, like, we're trying to work with her. We're trying to do this so that Marie could have her mom. And she tried to make it seem like they were doing everything they could. But really, after talking to Rhonda, you get the other side of the story and you start to realize, holy shit, like, this was all just manipulation and it was all a fucking game. That's all it was. I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband. And this is going to be part 4. This part is going to make me a little emotional, so bear with me. I'm going to post some pictures of text messages that were between Marie and I. All right, go ahead and pause to read. And pause to read again. All right, so what you're reading is manipulation. This is the way that Carly would manipulate Marie all the time. She would basically tell her that, like, me and Katie said things about her, and I would have to talk to Marie and say, no, I never said those things. Your mom is just trying to, like, get you against me, but I promise you I will always be on your side, and I promise that I do not think these things of you. I even have messages, which I'm not going to bring up because there's just too many names in there, but she would also call Marie a sociopath. So that was something that really irked me, really irked Katie. Honestly, it irked our whole friend group. And we would honestly tell her, like, hey, it's not funny. Like, she's not a sociopath. But she was being dead serious. She even stated that a therapist did an evaluation on her and said that she could possibly be a sociopath. She's not. She's not a sociopath. Me and Katie went as far as trying to find the therapist. So we figured out that the therapist worked at, like, Phoenix Children's Hospital. So we tried calling around, we tried looking up profiles, we were trying anything we could do to get somebody to mandate report. We did report already, at least that's what the police told us. The police told us that with us making this request with them, this now means that they are reporting it to CPS. So we were just like kind of waiting around for CPS at this point. But then that's where you see in the video 3, where we go to the door, we try to exercise Rhonda's parenting rights, and this is what happened after. I'm sorry nobody would answer the door. I was too scared to open it, and everybody else wouldn't answer. Everybody kept calling the cops and wondering what is going on. And apparently my mom called the cops, and they said that they came to the door because apparently I was being held against my will. Auntie, can you please try to come to my house today? I don't know how long I'll be here. What happened yesterday that you know of? This is the moment that Marie is panicking. She's panicking because she felt like she was like paralyzed. She said she could not get out of bed. She was too scared to go open the door. She heard the dogs barking. She heard us outside, but she was so scared, and nobody in the house would do anything. They basically just stayed silent. She messaged me that like early in the morning, and I wasn't answering, so she called me. She called me and she was like, I don't know what to do. I'm back at my dad's house, which is Bob's, because she was being transported from different houses to hide out. So when she got back to Bob's house, she was like, I don't know what to do. And I honestly was like, she almost sounded defeated, like she wanted to give up. And I said, Marie, I will tell you what I would do, what I think I would do if I was in your situation. And she was like, what? And I said, we have an option that I can park down the street. I can text you and let you know when I'm there. And at some point, run as fast as you can. Throw the phone. You don't need it. Run. I will be parked down the street. Get in the car and we'll go straight to the police station. I said, I need you to get out of that house, because the cops did tell me that if I walked inside that house and I grabbed her, that the parents could press charges against me for kidnapping. And they said that's something that they would arrest me for. So I had to figure out a different way. And honestly, run. Like, get out of that house. Throw the phone. Take off running. Get in my car and we will go straight to the cops. And she agreed. And I was getting ready. I was like, okay, I'll sit outside down the street for as many hours as you need me to, but I will be there. And she chickened out. And I don't blame her. Pause to read. If you notice in this, she's talking about boarding schools, and that means that Carly and Bob have been talking to her and telling her that she needs to go to boarding school because something's wrong with her. This is her basically just telling me that her mom's for me to basically tell her mom that like I was manipulated by her so that we can still remain friends. And this is me having to tell Marie that like I can't be friends with her mom anymore. Here's a little bit more. I know it's abuse, NTA, but I need you to communicate with my mom. You guys have been friends. You're best friends. It's been like that forever. Now, this is the moment that Marie just probably wishes that we didn't do any of this, because things are going to change, and it breaks my heart. And I have to tell her that this is all wrong, and I can't be friends with someone like this. Here's more to pause to read. This is just kind of giving you the state of mind that she was in. Here's more. This is me explaining to her why she says, I love you so much. And I say, because you want to be loved. I let her know that we all took the day off just in case if she changes her mind. I let her know that, that she doesn't need to go to all these different schools. There's nothing wrong with her. We talk about her memorizing my phone number, but that, I don't think I'll be able to talk to her. And she's kind of confused by that. I let her know that I'll be there, but not in the way that she thinks, which is she's so used to me being at that house every single day. This is kind of when I break it to her that like we called the cops, we did all these different things. So there's no way to kind of take this back. I also let her know that if worse came to worse, that I would adopt her. Guys, I loved her so much. This is when I talk about Stacy having more guts than Katie and I, and that we failed her and that we're sorry, but we will continue to keep pushing and we're not going to stop. Here's a little bit more. This is more of her telling me that Carly's going to tell me that I've been manipulated by Marie, because that was something that she stated all the time, that Carly didn't like for Marie to be with me because she said that I'm easily manipulated, and that's what Marie does because she's a sociopath. Here's a little bit more. And this is the last communication I've ever had with her. This is where I noticed that the text kind of changed. And the last thing she asked me was if I called the police, and yeah, I can't answer. And then that's the last of the messaging. It's honestly hard to relive all of that and like read it, because I really thought I was gonna get her out. The story does continue though, okay guys? So what steps we took after this was that the cops told us that they already reported it to CPS, but what we did learn was that you can do what is called mass reporting. So what that does is, instead of calling for one incident, you just have, if multiple people call about the same incident, it just like bumps you up higher, because Now they're getting they're getting a bunch of calls about one thing that happened. So we got all of our friends, all of our family, anybody that has witnessed the abuse that has happened, which it wasn't hard to ask people because all of our whole friend group had witnessed and also was not on the same page as Carly and Bob with how they disciplined. So everybody called. We all put a report in, and that was essentially going to bump her up the list for a CPS case to start. After this happened, about an hour and a half later, I get a message from Carly. Okay, I actually found this. This was before what I was about to show you, but I'm gonna at least have you guys see this. So basically, Bob knows he crossed a line. He does know, but you guys don't know how scary this is. She is messing with fire, and the loves quite literally of herself and her siblings. Katie says she's going to be more fucked up than me and you. And Katie says, and to clarify, I don't hate Bob or think he's a terrible person, but the situation is so fucked. Carly states, Bob can't get in trouble with this. He is on felony probation. He will 100% go to jail. And quite frankly, me and the kids will lose everything without him. And everyone will lose their dad. And nobody deserves that. Not Bob, not anybody. So, I mean, that was her admitting it also. Like admitting that what had happened. And her basically stating that they'll lose everything. That's why they shouldn't let the cops find him, you know? This is Carly writing me, what did you do, Angelique? What did you do? This is me responding, I'm sorry, but I reported Bob. I would rather you guys hate me than Marie hate me. I'm sorry I failed you as your friend and kept allowing things to happen to specifically Marie. I don't care what she did. She could have robbed a damn bank. She did not deserve what happened, nor has she ever deserved the life that she has been handed. She is the way she is because she has not showed love, true love. You're a great mom to everyone but her. When a child is begging for you to help, you help her, and Marie has been begging since Friday night when she got whipped. Stacy had bigger balls than I did. She told me to call her. I said, I'm on a call. Can we talk after work, though? She said, no need to call. And that was basically it. It's the last time I ever talked to her. That day, I went over to Katie's house, and we basically regrouped because we were going to call Carly together because obviously we did this together. And also, I was feeling a little scared, I'm not going to lie. But what we ended up doing after that was, obviously we got the point, and then we decided to work with Brandy. Brandy helped us with finding Rhonda. So I do want to state that Brandy was a part of the whole investigation with finding Rhonda. And then we also stayed in contact in the morning time with me, letting her know like, hey, this is what, Marie is telling me. So then we decide, hey, let's go ahead and let's do emergency orders. Remember, Carly is a paralegal. She works in family law. Like I have watched her with so many cases. I know a little bit of stuff based off of like what she has done for like friends and family of ours. So I knew that we needed to go try and get emergency orders. So we end up going to the courthouse with Rhonda. So it's Rhonda, Katie, and Brandy and I. And we have zero clue what we're doing because we've never done this before. But we go there and we try to petition emergency orders and whatever else that we need to do. I will say this is when I was introduced to ChatGPT, so we did do a lot of things with ChatGPT because we're obviously not lawyers. And we'll go ahead in part 5 and talk about everything that happened. I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years, and this is going to be part 5. On my last post, we talk about me talking with Marie. I show you guys some of the text messages. Also, this is the moment that Carly realizes that I am the one that reported her and her husband to CPS and the police. I've now lost communication with Marie, and this is now the next morning. All right, so Katie, Brandy, and myself, we all drive down to where Rhonda lives, and we end up going to the courthouse so that we can file an emergency petition for custody, I believe is what it's called. I will be very honest, we had zero clue what we were doing, but we did a lot of research, so we were trying to figure it out. We also had a paralegal friend that worked with Carly back in the day, and she actually gave us a little bit of tea about what happened and that Carly was actually fired from her practice. Carly gave us a story letting us know that like she decided to leave the business, but this person gave us like the real information and told us what actually happened when Carly worked underneath her. So she was helping us, just giving us like a little bit of, tricks on what to do with these orders. So after we gather everything, we then submit it in and we have to wait. So you have to wait for the judge to make like a decision. They said it usually takes about like an hour. So maybe like an hour and a half or something like that. So we end up going for lunch, about an hour or so. We come back and we're kind of just waiting around and waiting to see like what happens. It felt like it was taking forever. So we actually went to the front counter, said, hey, like we're just checking in. You told us it'd be done in about like an hour and a half or so, and it's been about 2 hours. And they told us that the judge was like in a case and it went longer than what they expected. So just to hold tight. So during this time, we actually get a phone call from from one of the police officers that's working Marie's case. Now, there was a point in time when I was talking to the cops, I told them, I said, just get Marie alone. If you can get Marie alone, she will tell you the truth. I prepped Marie for this. This is before we lost communication, but I prepped her for this, like what she should do, make sure that you're alone with the police officer, ask to talk to them alone. So I told them, like, you need to get her alone. They end up getting her alone, and basically they're calling us just to tell us that they got her alone. They even wrote like on a note, like, do you need help? And she said no. So they were basically telling us, sorry, there's nothing we can do. She's stating that everything is fine and there was no abuse, that she did it to herself. And that was a really, really hard pill to swallow, because I'm currently at the courthouse trying to do these emergency orders, and Marie is telling them that she did this to herself. But I know that she's only doing this because she's being completely manipulated by everything that's happening. I knew this was going to happen the moment that we lost communication, to be honest. I knew that Carly and Bob would get inside her head. They'd make her feel bad. Karen would get inside her head. That whole family was there to literally mentally abuse her and just basically make her feel bad for the whole situation. I definitely, just like my emotions from it, it was really hard for me to hear. And honestly, I do feel like Maricopa PD, they were not doing their job fully, and they were honestly being really rude about it. Like, I remember when the cop was like, sorry, nothing else I can do. Like, she was giving a lot of attitude, and I was just like, this isn't even like a funny situation at all. Like, it was very hurtful. So moving forward, we're still waiting. We ask, the courthouse is about to close at this point. It's almost 4 o'clock, and they tell us that they will email us their decision. So we end up leaving. We get gas into Rhonda's car, because at this point we're now driving back to Maricopa so that Rhonda can basically exercise her parenting rights every single day. So every single day she was going to come with the order and show them that she is exercising her parenting rights, and she was going to continue to do this every single day. We get to Maricopa, and Rhonda gets the email that says that it was denied. They stated that it was denied because it was already in the hands of like the police department, and like there was already a CPS case. So that was the reason like why they denied it, and that she would have to follow up with like a hearing in like a month or something. We were really annoyed. I'm going to be quite honest. Like, it was so like we worked so hard on that petition, so hard. I mean, it took us like hours to do this, and it was just mind-boggling that there are marks on this teenage girl, ones that she cannot do herself. Like, she can't do it herself, and you're gonna tell me that you're not gonna grant this? Like, it was just, my brain could not fathom what was happening. But I knew that we had to continue, and all of us knew that we had to keep going. So we all get to my house. We all get to actually Katie's house. It's Brandy, myself, Katie, Brandy, her husband, Rhonda, and I feel like that might be it. But we all decide that now we need to go to Carly's house, because now we know that Marie is at Carly's house. The cops told us, and also Carly decided to text Rhonda and said, if you want to exercise your parenting rights, go ahead and come to my house. Marie will be here, in a very condescending way. This felt like really like it was going to be, a disaster. So at this point, we all start to walk up to the door. I am recording in the back. So I did like take like a recording of this. I gave like the date, the time, what we were doing, and then we all kind of walk up to the door together. When we go up to the door, Brandy's pretty much taking point on this with Rhonda, and I'm kind of in the back with like Katie and everybody. And she basically knocks on the door, and it's like a screen door. So like you have like the door and then like the security door. So they only open the door so the security door is in front. So we can still see inside of it, but obviously like you get the picture. Rhonda states, I'm here to exercise my parenting right. And Marie like states, no, like I don't want to go. And we're like, are you sure? And mind you, Carly is standing right there the whole time. And so she's like, no, I'm gonna eat dinner with my family. And Brandy's like, would you like to get ice cream with us? Like, we can even all just go and we'll bring you right back. Like, we won't take you against your will, but like, can we at least have like a conversation? And she's like, no, I don't really want to. And you see like everybody like, oh, like we're all just like dying inside. And then I step up and I start talking, and I'm like, Marie, and I'm like, please. And I'm like, can we all just go and like have dinner as a family? Like, we can bring you back. Like, I'm sorry, it makes me so emotional. Because when I start to talk in the video, you can see through the door, and her lip starts quivering like she's gonna cry. And right when she starts crying, you know, we say, we love you so much, Marie, we love you so much. And Carly says, yeah, she's very loved. And you see her face, like her face looks so scared. And then she closes the door and that's it. Sorry, this is just bringing up so much for me. We did a lot. We didn't do this maliciously at all. I did not wake up one morning and decide that I wanted to do this. I just wanted to help her. I remember walking away being so upset. I remember everybody was trying to give me a hug and I was like, just get away from me. I couldn't handle it. It was so overwhelming for me. We all kind of end the night just feeling defeated, and we all go home and we all understand that we're going to do this again tomorrow. We're going to do this every single day so that Marie knows that we are all still here. And so I remember the next day, from what I remember for the next day was just that we all kind of went about our days as normal. I have 3 children, I have dogs, I have all these different animals, I have a husband, like I have a life outside of this. So I was just continuing my day as normal as it possibly could go. And then I do remember at some point I was going to the gym. So I go to the gym every single day. I was on my way to the gym and Brandy called me and she was like, dude, get over here right now. She's like, the house is surrounded, because there were 2 houses. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but I did state at some point that Bob and Carly were getting divorced. So there were 2 houses. There was the house that they lived in, and then Carly got her own house, which is like about 10 minutes away. So the house that is across the street from Brandy is like the original house that everything has always happened in. And Brandy's like, get over here now. Like the cops are here. Like, I don't know what's going on, but there's so many people. So I like, turn around, go over to her house, and we're just sitting there in the driveway, like watching. And we have no idea what's going on at this point. And then Rhonda calls me because she's on the phone with CPS and they're talking to her and they're like, okay, she's not telling us like what's going on. She's just like, hey, give me your information just in case. Cause I'm like, tell them I'm here. Like if they're grabbing Marie, I'm here. I will take her. Like I'm closer than you are, Rhonda. Like let me grab her if I need to. And at this point we're so excited, but then we find out that's not what's happening. So CPS ends up telling Rhonda, like, that's not what's happening. We're just doing a background check on you to see, you know, if ABC, the cops are just doing a well check. They're not like giving us too much information. So from that point, I end up going back to the gym. And as I'm about to walk into the gym, my phone rings. And normally I don't answer like weird phone calls, but this time it told me to answer. So I answered it, and guess who it was? It was fucking CPS, dude. It was CPS. It was the CPS investigator that was working Marie's case. And she starts asking me questions. She's like, can I talk to you? You know, I'm the person that's investigating for Marie's case. I understand that you're the person that called, like you're her aunt, you're known as Auntie A. Can you give me more information? So I am pacing around my gym, like in the parking lot, because I'm outside and I'm just pacing, talking to this lady on the phone. I'm giving her all the information that I gave, giving more insight. I'm honest about a lot. And then she goes, can I get your, like, would you be willing to take Marie? And I was like, yes, like 100% yes. So they start doing a background check on me. They do a background check on my husband. They do everything. And we're cleared. I called CPS and the authorities on my best friend of over 12 years and her husband. And this is going to be part 6. All right. So in part 5, we ended with Marie is now with CPS, and CPS is calling me while I'm at the gym, and they are asking if I would take Marie in. My answer, of course, is yes, and they are running a background check. I remember it like clear as day. Like I'm currently at the gym right now, and I'm sitting in the parking lot, and this is where I was when I got the phone call. And I remember I was like going in a square around the whole parking lot for like an hour just talking on the phone with the CPS investigator. And they ran my background check, my husband's, and we were cleared to go. So they did tell me that there were some some stipulations. Like for one, she could not be in contact with Bob. She could not be in contact with Carly, and she also could not be in contact with Rhonda. That one I was a little confused on, and I was like, well, why can't she be in contact with her biological mother? Like that's who she wants to be with. And they told me because unfortunately, because the case was submitted in, they are investigating Rhonda also, because Carly and Bob have put some accusations about her too, and that she's not a safe person. So they had to investigate everybody basically before they made a decision. So I was like, okay, that's perfectly fine. And I did feel kind of bad because I was going behind Rhonda's back, and I know like I was just like, I just met her, but I do think that she would understand the reason why I did it. I was trying to help so that I can get her daughter. So in the end, I ended up telling her, and she was perfectly fine with it. Like later on, after all of this, I had a conversation and she was perfectly fine with it. But I do remember calling Katie, and I called Brandy, and I was like, guys, She's with CPS. Like, I want to let you guys know she's with CPS, and I'm about to go to my house right now and clean it. Can you guys come and help me? Like, I just want it to look nice for when, you know, Marie gets there and CPS. So yes. So they rush to my house. I'm rushing to my house trying to get there. I'm cleaning around. My husband's cleaning. We're kind of just trying to make things look tidy and where she's going to sleep. We're talking about beds. Like, I was so excited. But of course, excitement comes with disappointment also. So within that hour, all of a sudden, I get a phone call, and it is the investigator. And she did tell me that her manager decided that they were just going to keep Marie in the group home until some type of hearing. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had to go look and see what it was called. It's called the dependency hearing. So that hearing was going to be done. I think they called me on like a Saturday, like a Friday or Saturday. So that was going to be done on Monday morning. So they did explain like, hey, we are going to keep her. We're going to, you know, talk with her, have her talk to our psychologist, all that kind of stuff, and we're going to have this hearing, but you are able to attend. We do want you to attend, and if there's anybody that you think that should attend this with us, please let us know. So I do gather a list. I ask all our friends, the ones that reported, like, who wants to be a part of this hearing. This is a moment that we can kind of talk. I actually have no idea how this hearing works, but like, we just kind of go into this with an open mind. I will tell you guys though that I'm so defeated. I remember talking to the I know I say defeated a lot, but I was like, this whole freaking time I was defeated, but I just kept going and kept going. When I was talking to the investigator, there were a few things that were like weird, not weird, but concerning. She was stating that Marie kept stating over and over again that she did this to herself, that her parents don't abuse her, that she whipped herself. And I remember standing outside, I looked really stupid, but standing outside with a charger cord, and I was trying to like whip myself. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I just wanted to make sure like this wasn't like something that could actually happen. I mean, I'm sure somebody could whip her, but those marks on her back, the ones like all over, it wasn't consistent with her doing this to herself. And I even asked them, like, do you guys believe that? And she's like, no, like, we don't believe that. I also found out later on too that this investigator, she investigates like a lot in like the town that we live in, and she has been the caseworker that has been on their case. I found out there's been multiple cases. It was honestly wild. Our brains were blown at how many people had reported Carly and Bob going back to 2016. So going back to like 2016, there were just some random reports. I can't show you it because I don't think I can actually like show it to you. I have all the information, but there was just so many different things that happened. The school reported. So there was a point in time where about a month before all of this happened, there was another incident that happened with one of the other children. I won't talk about it. I can't. It's very sensitive. And all I will say is that Carly ended up taking all the kids out of the school because of the situation, because they did call CPS. So when that happened, all of them got removed. I believe all the kids went online, but Marie was very much treated differently than all the kids. Like, shocker, right? She was still in charge of like taking care of the house, like making sure everything was clean. And then she also had to run her grandmother's dog business. Yeah, you heard me right. They were doing child-free labor. I even have text messages of Bob like complaining about it and saying like, oh, now that we're getting divorced, like they're going to lose their free labor. Ha 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 ha. Like, fucking, like, it wasn't funny. Like, the fact that you've allowed for them to use your children, you've let Karen use your children to literally run their business and use free labor when they don't want to do it is disgusting. They also had all the kids and everybody like in therapy. And I do remember Marie telling me that like she doesn't even feel comfortable talking to her therapist because she has to do it there at the house online, and that everybody listens to her. So like, she's like, grandma will listen to like to make sure that like I'm not saying anything bad. Mommy will listen. Like, very much she was scared to talk to her own therapist because she was like, what's my therapist going to do to help me? So it just sucked. It sucked because they took Marie and all the children away from school, and like that was like Marie's only way out, like to be able to be with her friends, to be like a teenager. So it really did suck. Now back to video one, I talked about like her not being able to wash like her body, and I was able to talk, you know, Carly into at least letting her wash her body, and she made the punishment where she couldn't wash her hair. So we found out from one of the teachers that did report that it went on as long as like 3 weeks. Like, they were helping her like wash her hair like in sinks. Like there was just so much, dude. There was so much that I can't even talk about just because it's embarrassing for a teenage girl with some of the stuff that the teachers told us. Like the stuff that I found out that was reported made me sick. And I didn't know about any of this stuff, remind you. And what sucks about it is that none of these teachers or any of these mandated reporters, they don't get like a call back to explain like, oh, hey, like there was a case made, or hey, like nothing happened. But I will tell you that unfortunately, I should have saw it clear as day that this investigator was the one that has been on the last like few cases. So she knows their family very well. So I just wanted to paint that picture that there were so many people that honestly were trying to help without us even knowing that they were trying to help. So that was just like amazing to know that it can happen, but also lets you know like how much slips through the cracks. I will say that a lot of the times I think when that CPS investigator did go, all the kids would state that nothing's happening and they're not abused. I will say that, I keep saying I will say, I do know that the last time that she did talk with Marie did tell me that she didn't feel comfortable talking to her because they had her outside next to the Ring camera and her mom was watching it the whole time. So she's like, I could see that it was red, which means that I'm being recorded. And she said, so I just couldn't say anything. So it sucks because I feel like there were moments that maybe possibly Marie would have spoken out, but she just didn't feel safe. So now we get to this dependency hearing, and honestly, there's a lot of us that are there. There's even other people that were mandated reporters that are there, and we honestly have zero clue what to expect when you do these kind of hearings. We all log in, we're all kind of sitting there, and at first, like, they start talking, and immediately you have all of us like on our videos, you know, on our phones, and then you have Bob and Carly together. And there were moments that they had to keep like muting Bob. Bob just kept over speaking. He was over talking, over speaking. He was aggressive. Like, honestly, it didn't paint a good picture of him. And I was very much like, I know that Carly's in the background, like, shut up. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're probably acting like a fool, because he made himself look like this aggressive person. Now, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in this hearing. It wasn't too much because they couldn't talk too much. Like, it was very much like, we're not here to talk about what happened. We're here to see who would be a possibility for them to like have Marie go live with them. And so like the people that, you know, were opening their home to her, we all raised our hands. And then Marie and Bob basically told all of their, basically like put all their family members up for grabs. Like, oh, my brother can do it. My sister-in-law can do it, even though they lived in different states. And CPS did state like, sorry, this would have to be local. Like, this has to be in the state of Arizona. We will not allow for the child to go to your brother's house or go to your sister-in-law's house. Like, they all live out of state. Also, side note, I ended up writing all of the brothers and sisters in a group chat, and I sent them the pictures, and they just didn't care. They didn't care. And I basically told them, like, I'm not doing this for you to turn against your sister. Believe me, I love Carly also, and this is really difficult for me, but I need somebody to keep an eye on Marie while I am not here anymore. I am exiled out, and I need someone to keep an eye for her. And honestly, they just didn't care. They didn't, which is wild to me, because at one point in time, one of the brothers tried to call CPS on Marie. He actually lived with them for just a very short period of time, and him and Carly actually did not talk for like a very long time, because he told them, you guys are very abusive to Marie. Like, he spoke up at some point. Like, that's what I don't get. Like, we were all scared, and even when he was talking out, I remember sitting there going like, man, I should have backed him up. I should have backed him up, because he's not crazy. He's not crazy. He's right. What he saw in that house was probably more than what we saw. Okay, sorry, TikTok usually only lets me do 10 minutes. It's letting me go a little bit further, so that's great. Basically, this dependency here, we all just kind of said that we would, you know, take her. They said that they would reach out to us. They would also speak with Marie, see what she feels like and which person she would want to live with. We gave her like six houses, including mine. And that's basically it. That's pretty much what the dependency hearing is. They don't want you to kind of talk about the case. They just want to know, like, who's willing to take the child? Like, what are we here for? Do we all understand? And now there's going to be a court date.
This woman said she discovered that her boss was having an affair with her husband in the most random way. And she didn't react how most people would think that she would have. She got real quiet, like real quiet and got real strategic and made sure that she was 10 steps ahead. By the time that the truth all came out, you already know what time it is. Story time, let's go ahead and get into it. She's a 32-year-old Jamaican-American woman living in Georgia. She works as a senior marketing manager at a mid-sized tech company. She's been there for 4 years and honestly loves her job. Her boss is a 38-year-old mixed woman, polished, ambitious, the kind of person who color codes her calendar and never has a hair out of place. They have a professional relationship, nothing more. They've never grabbed coffee outside of work, never had a personal conversation that didn't revolve around campaigns and deadlines. Cordial, but distant. Her husband is a 34-year-old Jamaican man that works in finance. They've been married for 5 years, together for 8. The marriage has been feeling a little off for the past year. He was distant, always on his phone, working late more than often, less interested in spending time with her. She chalked it up to work stress. He's always been ambitious, always grinded, so she just gave him space. Maybe too much space. One afternoon, she's in the break room microwaving her lunch when her boss's assistant, a 24-year-old chatty Kathy, walks in. She's sweet, but messy. The type who overshares and doesn't think before she speaks. They make small talk while waiting for the microwave. That's when she starts venting about their boss, how she's been distracted lately, always on her phone, smiling at texts, leaving early for appointments. Then chatty Kathy leans in like she's about to share the juiciest tea and says, "Between you and me, our boss is seeing someone." Before she can process what she said, the girl whips out her phone and shows her the guy's LinkedIn profile, talking about she's been talking about this guy nonstop, she's dating him. Girl, she is stressed. She thinks that he might be married. Her stomach drops because he is married to her, but she keeps her face neutral. Oh, really? Why does she think that? The assistant shrugs. I don't know, just the vibe, I guess. He's always busy, never available on weekends, and doesn't want to post her on social media. Her heart is pounding, but she doesn't flinch. She just nods and says, yeah, he's cute, hope it works out for her, and walks back to her desk like her entire world didn't just implode. She doesn't confront anyone. Not yet, at least. She goes home that night, and her husband is on the couch watching basketball like everything is normal. She asks him how his day was. He says fine. She asks if he wants dinner. He says he already ate. She goes to bed early, and while he's in the shower, she goes through his phone. She knows his password. He's never changed it, probably because he never thought that she'd check. And there it is, months of messages. Her boss's contact is saved under Chris, a fake name, but the texts are unmistakable. Flirty messages, plans to meet up, him telling her how beautiful she is. She takes screenshots of everything and deletes the evidence that she sent them. Then she puts the phone back exactly where she found it. For the next 3 months, she plays it cool, goes to work, sits in on meetings with her boss, smiles, nods, contributes to projects like nothing is wrong. At home, she's just as composed. She starts quietly moving money into a separate account her husband doesn't know about. She finds her own apartment, signs the lease, but doesn't move in yet. She talks to a divorce attorney, gets all her ducks in a row. She's not just reacting, she's planning. During this time, she's also watching, observing. She notices that her boss leaves the office early on Thursday. But you know what else? Her husband also has late meetings on Thursdays. After 3 months of preparation, she makes her move. She quietly moves all her things into her new apartment over a weekend while her husband is on a work trip. You already know. Then on Tuesday afternoon, she does something that surprises even herself. She asks her boss if she wants to grab coffee after work. Her boss looks genuinely shocked, confused a little bit. They've never done anything social, ever. But curiosity gets the best of her and she agrees. They meet at a coffee shop near the office, small talk at first, work projects, the weather, nothing heavy. Then she puts her phone on the table, pulls up one of the screenshots and slides it across to her boss. I think we need to talk about my husband. Her face goes ghost white. She picks up the phone, reads the messages, and her hands start shaking. I don't understand. Your husband? Yeah. The guy you've been seeing for the past 6 months? The one you think might be married? He is. To me. She looks at me like she might throw up. She starts stammering, apologizing, saying that she had no idea, that he told her he was single, that she never would have. Right then and there, she cuts her off. I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to let you know that I know and that I'm filing for divorce. What you do with the information is entirely up to you. Her boss is mortified. Tears in her eyes, mascara running, the whole scene. She keeps apologizing, saying how disgusting she feels. 2 days later, her boss requested a transfer to a different office. HR approved it within a week. She's gone by the end of the month. The same day after talking to her boss, she sits her husband down and tells him she wants a divorce. At first, he tries to deny it, says that she's being paranoid, that she's overreacting. She shows him the screenshots, all of them. He breaks down, starts crying, begging, saying it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, and that he loves her and he wants to fix this. He swears that the boss was the only one and that it was a moment of weakness and that he'll do anything to make it right. For a brief moment, she considers it. Maybe people make mistakes. Maybe their marriage can survive this. Maybe therapy could help. But something tells her to dig a little deeper. She goes back through his phone, this time more carefully. She checks deleted messages, old emails, social media DMs, everything in between. And that's when she finds them. The others, not just her boss, more than 20 other women. Some were just conversations, some were physical affairs, some were women that he met on business trips, some were women from the gym. One was a colleague from his own office. The extent of the betrayal was wild. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a pattern, a lifestyle. This was this man's character. She screenshots everything, sends it to her lawyer, and blocks his number. He tries to reach out to her through friends, through family, even shows up at her new apartment begging to talk. She doesn't engage. Her lawyer handles everything. The divorce is finalized within 8 months. No kids, thank God. Just a clean break from a man who never deserved her in the first place. A year later, she's thriving. Got a promotion at work after her old boss left. Turns out that she was better at the job anyway. She's traveling, taking herself on dates, rediscovering who she is outside of a marriage that was built on lies. She's in therapy, working through the betrayal, learning to trust again. She heard through mutual friends that her ex-husband is still out here doing the same thing just with different women. She also heard that her old boss is engaged to someone in Austin and seems happy. Good for her, honestly. The lesson here, when you find out someone's betrayed you, don't react emotionally. Get strategic. Gather your evidence, protect yourself, and make your moves in silence. If a man shows you that he's a liar, believe him the first time, because the lies you know are never the only ones.
So basically what happened is her husband found this mobile home community in Rossville, Georgia, called Village Green, while he's working away from home. And she had a bad feeling about it from day one. The gut feeling thing is real, and people keep dismissing it. She said something was off about Amy from the beginning. Too nice, too eager, called her husband desperate instead of determined. That one detail alone should have been a stop sign. When somebody uses language that subtly diminishes you while pretending to help you, pay attention to that. Desperation makes people override their own instincts. Her husband wasn't a bad person. He just wanted his family together and close to where he was working. That's a beautiful thing. But that urgency clouded his judgment, and these people saw it and used it against him. The mom even confirmed it. She said they prey on desperate families. That's literally the business model some of these sketchy rental situations operate on. The 2 properties they kept stalling on, and then suddenly a third one appears out of nowhere. That's a classic bait and switch. You never noticed they stopped being difficult? The moment the runaround stops and they're suddenly super helpful, that's when you should be the most suspicious, not the least. Co-signing for someone else's lease is almost never as simple as we'll remove you in a month or 2. That's not really how leases work, and anyone who tells you that repeatedly and convincingly is either lying or setting you up. The mom said no initially, and her instincts were right too. There's a pattern in the story of the women having the right read and being overridden. And the daughter at the end, 14 years old, waking up to bugs crawling on her. That kind of thing stays with a kid. She said her daughter left before everyone else and was traumatized. That part hit different because you realize the cost of not listening to warning signs isn't just financial or logistical. It lands on the people who had no say in the decision at all. The whole thing is really a story about what happens when love and desperation meet predatory systems. Nobody in this family was stupid. They just trusted the wrong people while being vulnerable. And there are entire industries built around finding people exactly in that position. So this lady called CPS on her best friend. Because of abuse, watching someone slowly talk themselves out of trusting their own gut over and over again for years. Like she knew. She always knew something was deeply wrong. You don't cry leaving someone's house and then convince yourself everything's fine. That's not how humans work. But Carly was smart. She kept handing her this legal framework. Wall sits aren't abuse. I work in family law. I know what abuse is. And that just completely disarmed her. That's genuinely one of the most insidious things a manipulator can do. Use their credentials as a weapon against your instincts. And then there's the friendship piece, which I think people underestimate. This wasn't just some casual friend. This was her maid of honor, the person who held her mother's memorial, her literal rock through trauma. When someone has been that present in your darkest moments, it becomes almost impossible to see them clearly. You owe them something in your mind, even when you shouldn't anymore. That codependency wasn't weakness. It was just human. Really painfully human. Friend because of abuse, Karen. Because Carly didn't just appear out of nowhere. The cycle was right there in that house on that staircase, talking about hiding a child from the police like it was a mild inconvenience. That woman was the blueprint, and Carly was just a slightly softer version of it. And Bob, honestly, Bob might be the saddest character in all of this because he clearly wasn't a monster by nature, but he got so absorbed into that household's gravity that he ended up whipping his own daughter with a charger cord. That's what sustained emotional control does to a person over time. Stacy called 911 a kid. While the adults in that same situation were still negotiating their loyalties and trying to stay anonymous and protect friendships. A child had more moral clarity in that moment than everyone else combined. That's humbling in a way that's hard to put into words. And honestly, the "is it worth Bob going to jail" text from Carly is the moment the whole mask just fell completely off. Because that was never about Marie. It was never about any of the kids. It was about the structure of that household surviving intact. Marie was just a variable in that equation. Staying silent to preserve a relationship is still a choice. It's an active choice. And every time you soften a consequence for an abuser, even by just not saying anything, you're essentially voting for it to continue. That's uncomfortable, but it's true. She knew that too. She said it herself. And the fact that she eventually blew the whole thing up, found Rhonda, drove an hour to a stranger's house, took PTO, went to courthouses, that matters. It doesn't erase the years, but it matters. And this other story, this woman is built different. Like genuinely. Because most people, and I mean most people, the second that assistant showed her that LinkedIn profile, they would have lost it right there in the break room. Microwave still going, lunch getting cold, full meltdown. But she just went, "Oh yeah, he's cute. Hope it works out for her," and walked back to her desk. That is levels of self-control I don't think I personally possess. She already knew something was off in the marriage, the distance, the phone thing, working late. She felt it. She just explained it away because she trusted him. And that's the part that stings the most, honestly. Not even the affair itself. It's that her gut was right the whole time and she talked herself out of it. That silence is a weapon, and she used it perfectly. She didn't blow up, didn't tip him off, didn't give him a chance to delete evidence or lawyer up first. She just watched, moved money, found an apartment, got an attorney. By the time she actually said anything to anybody, she had already won. The confrontation was basically a formality at that point. The coffee shop scene, though, imagine being the boss in that moment. You sit down thinking this is some awkward professional networking thing, and this woman slides a phone across the table with your texts on it. I would have dissolved into the floor. She didn't come at the boss sideways either. She wasn't there to fight her or embarrass her or make it ugly. She just laid out the facts and essentially said, this is what it is. Now you decide what you do with it. That's mature. Because at the end of the day, the boss got played too. She thought this man was single. When he started crying and begging and doing the whole, it was a mistake. She was the only one speech. She almost considered it. And I think that's the most human part of the whole story. 8 years with someone. You don't just switch that off. But something in her said, look closer. And thank God it did. Because 20 plus women, that's not a mistake. That's just who he is. A mistake is once. A pattern is character. Huge difference. Her life actually got better after all of this. Got the promotion, traveling, figuring out who she is again, which tells me part of her was probably shrinking in that marriage without even realizing it. Sometimes the thing that destroys you is also the thing that frees you. Corny but true in this case. This one's just real. If someone shows you they're a liar early, don't spend energy trying to figure out how bad the lies are. Just believe the lie you already found and act accordingly. Because she went back and found 20 more women. The first one was enough. The first one was always enough.